topic of operating system, which is described for Osmania University School. This is a subject described in the final year's fifth semester. It is one of the elective subjects. So we have finished lecture 1 in previous video. Next, this is a lecture 2 where we are going to discuss about types of operating system. So in our previous video, we have discussed what is an operating system and what are the functionalities the operating system has to perform. So as the operating system has many responsibilities, it has to maintain some features. So we have understood what are the functionalities operating system has to maintain. So basing on those functionalities, we have divided our operating system into different types. So in today's class, in this video lesson, we'll see the types of operating system as well as the other services which is provided by operating system, and we'll see what is a user interface and how the operating system is helping for the user interface. Let's go into that. So first type of operating system, we call it as batch operating system. So as the name indicates, we make all the processes into batches. So for example, if take an example of post office. So we have seen in previous days we have post boxes where the post boxes from morning to evening we will post all the letters. So all the things like will take an example. We'll write a postcard, we'll write an envelope letter, we'll give some envelope. So all the things we put together into the post box. Whereas the postman will collect the information. That means the postman will segregate the letters. All the postcards at one place, all the envelopes at one place, and all the inland letters at one place, and all of them are dispatched according to the letters, and they are dispatched. They dispatch according to the addresses also. In the same way, operating system also it performs in the batch way. So the users of batch operating system do not interfere with the computer directly. It does not interact with the computer directly. Okay. Each user prepares his job on an offline device like punch cards and submits it to the computer operator. Each user, suppose I have some work, so user 1 will prepare his job and he submits to the operating system. Suppose I want to perform addition of two numbers. So that is my job. So I will write the program and I will submit it to the operating system. So this will be submitted in the form of punch cards. Same way, the other person, that means a user two, he'll also prepare a job and he will provide it to the operating system. So in the same way, user one, I, my colleague, other person, and the other person, all the people will prepare their own jobs and they will submit it to the operating system. And then all the related activities like uh, uh, suppose if we have three processes where all the three processes are requiring printer, so it must be scheduled. So whoever requires which type of resources, that is decided by operating system, and that will be allocated according to their need. So these punch cards groups together and batch wise grouping together, they are allocated with the resources. So this is one way of operating system access. So this we call it as batch operating system. The advantage of batch operating system is it speeds up the processing. You can see the third line. To speed up the processing, jobs with similar needs are batched together and run as a group. So all the similar elements like similar jobs, whoever requires all the input devices, they are grouped together. Whoever require all the printing processes, they are grouped together. Whoever require all the memory fetching, they are grouped together. So this is the way the jobs of similar criteria, similar jobs are grouped together and they are given for execution. So this is done in batch operating system. So there may be the problems in every system. So the problems with batch systems are as follows: lack of interaction between the user and the job. Take an example. I am the user and my colleague will be another user. So we both will give the job to that operating system, but I am not interacting with the system directly. I am just in an offline. I have given my job, right? So whether the job is done or not, I am not aware. So this is the drawback of batch operating system. That is lack of interaction between the user and the job. The job, whether the job is perfectly done or not, I'm not aware of that. So the user and the user too, my friend is also not aware whether her job is done perfectly or not. So that is the lack of interaction between the user and the job. That is the disadvantage of batch operating system. Another problem, CPU is often idle because the speed of the mechanical I/O devices is slower than the CPU. Actually, the operating system's work is to maintain the processor. One of the functionalities of operating system is process management. So that means CPU must be busy always because it is very important thing. Because of that processing only, we will get the efficiency of the system. So CPU is often ideal because it gets all the elements grouped together and they come along. All the three or four, all the processes will come along. Whereas by meanwhile, in between the times, the CPU will be idle because only at a time all the processes are coming and they are working. So the other time, the CPU is becoming idle. So this reduces the efficiency of our system. So CPU is often ideal because the speed of the mechanical I/O devices is lower than the CPU, because CPU is very faster, whereas mechanical I/O devices, simply we can say our mouse, our keyboard, our joystick, they are all mechanical I/O devices. They work very slower than CPUs. Okay, so the mechanical I/O devices are working very lesser than CPU. So because of that, CPU is idle until they finish the work. The mechanical I/O devices work. CPU must wait until they finish their work. Okay, so that is the disadvantage, another disadvantage. And finally, difficult to provide the desired priority. Here we don't have any priority. It can be an important thing or less priority, whether it is an important or not, we don't know, but we are grouping all at a time. We are grouping all at a time, all the people at one place, and we are grouping without knowing their priority, whether they are important or not. So difficult to provide the desired priority. So all they have to wait. They'll keep some time, either for 24 hours or 6 hours or 4 hours. So until that time finishes, till that 4 hours, everything must be waited. Okay? After 4 hours, whoever the processes, whatever the processes will come, all the processes are grouped together and they are sent to the execution. So till that time, they have to be waited. In that processes, many are with higher priority, whereas many are without priority. They are not very important. So we don't have the provision of giving any priority. Okay, these are the three difficulties with batch operating system. Next, time sharing operating system. Okay, so we have discussed in the previous class, indicating that operating system is not maintained for only a single process execution. We know at a time in our computer, we can execute more than one process at a time. Okay, so multiple processes will be executed into our operating system. So time sharing or multitasking is a logical extension of multi-programming. Processes time which is shared among multiple users simultaneously is termed as time sharing. I'll give you an example. So all the processes, like process 1, process 2, process 3. Suppose if we have 3 processes, P1, P2, P3, every processor, every process requires the processor. Remember, there is a difference. Process is different from processor. Process is the program which is under execution, whereas the processor which helps to execute our program. Processor is nothing but our CPU, whereas process is a program under execution. So the processors, the distribution of the processor's time to different processes is called time sharing operating system. Time sharing operating system. dividing the time for different processes according to their priority. See, the previous topic we have discussed, that is batch operating system. In batch operating system, we are not giving any priority to any process. We are getting all the processes at one time and we are giving group it together. Okay, group one, group two, all the similar processes are grouped together and they are given for execution. Whereas in time sharing system, we divide the processes time and they are distributed, shared among different processes. Processes will share the processes according to the time. Okay, this is for multi-programming. So this is processes time which is shared among multiple users simultaneously is termed as time sharing. So the main difference between multi-programmed batch systems and time sharing system is to maximize the processor's use, is to minimize response time. Listen, maximize the processor use. The difficulty in batch operating system is CPU is idle at some places, whereas processor is waiting for processor is idle. CPU idle means processor is idle. Till that time, it can execute with some other processes. So with the time sharing system, we have overcome the disadvantage. What is that disadvantage? It has maximized the processor's time, that means processor's use, and minimized the response time. What is the meaning of response time? Request, response. Request is whatever we ask from the system. Suppose if I want to calculate addition of two numbers. So what is the request I am giving? I'll enter two numbers. What is the response? The time which it gives an output to me. So response time. So response time should be minimized. That indicates it is the efficiency of operating system. So the advantage of time sharing system over batch system is it maximizes the processor's utilization and minimizes the response time. That is the advantage. We have seen the two things, that is batch operating system, time sharing system. That is the difference between batch operating system and time sharing operating system, right? So advantages of time sharing operating systems are as follows. Provides the advantage of quick response. That is what we have discussed now. At what speed it is giving back the result. That is the response. Request is what we ask from the system, whereas the response is what it will give back. The time it takes to give back the result. So that is the response. Avoids duplication of software. Software duplication is not done here because the processor is utilized. It is not duplicating the processes. It is utilizing the processor's time and reduces CPU's idle time. Processor is busy always because according to the time each process is sharing the processor. So the CPU's idle time is reduced. So this is an advantage of time sharing operating system. Disadvantages of time sharing operating system: problem of reliability. There is no reliability in time sharing system because who gets the next processor time, we don't know. So there is no reliability. We have a problem of reliability. Question of security and integrity of user programs and data. There may be a problem of security in time sharing operating system. We cannot assure the security for these kind of processes. And problem of data communication, because each time the processor is shifting from one process to other process, so there will be a problem of data communication. Data communication, you might be knowing that giving the information from one process to another process is called data communication. So there may be a problem of data communication. Next, distributed operating system. Distributed systems use multiple central processors to serve multiple real-time applications and multiple users. That means it is connected distributively. That means if different systems are having different processors. Initially, we have seen in time sharing system, there will be a single processor. They are allocated to each process based on the time. Okay, based on the time sharing, they are allocated. But in distributed systems, it uses multiple central processors. Multiple processors. It is not a single processor, which serves multiple real-time applications, and multiple users. So that means there will be a many number of processors. They are serving to multiple applications. The processors communicate with one another through various communication lines. This can be a bus, okay, telephone lines, and any other mode of transmission. Okay. Using any mode of transmission, they transfer the information from one processor to another processor. Okay. So here the problem of data communication is eliminated because we have different processors. At a time we are not using only one processor. We are different multiple centralized multiple processors. They help for running multiple applications. So advantages of distributed systems: resource sharing facility. Okay, the multiple resources can be shared by multiple persons. Okay, resource sharing facility is available here. Speed up the exchange of data. As I've told you, there is a bus lines. We call it as bus, serial bus, parallel bus, using bus and telephone lines. We transfer the information. That means we transmit the information from one system to another system. Okay. If one site falls, the remaining sites can potentially continue operating. Okay. So the meaning is, if one site falls, that means I have, if I have only one computer with one operating system, if there is a problem with my operating system, my execution will be stopped. Okay. But whereas while we are discussing a distributed operating system, there are multiple processors executing with multiple applications and multiple users. So if there is a problem in single operating system, if there is a problem in single processor, many other processors will help them each other. Okay, they will be helping them each other. That is he said. That is what he says. If one site fails, the remaining sites can potentially continue operating. Okay, they will be helping each other. Better service to the customer, because as there are many processes, they give better service. Reduction of load on the host computer, because it is not hosting only one processor, is not performing all the operations. Many processors are there, so the host computer is not loaded with many works. Reduction of delays in data processing. Okay, there won't be any delays because there are many processors, so they equally distribute their work into different processors. Okay, this is another advantage of distributed system. Next is the network operating system. Network operating system runs on a server and provides the server the capability to manage data, users, groups, security, applications, and other networking functions. So here the operating system is connected to network, the where the entire information is stored at network, and based on the network servers, we call it as network operating system, network server. Okay, those servers will actuate all the information. So a network operating system runs on a server and provides the server. That means this operating system works on the server and they provide the information to everybody. Okay. It runs on a server and provides the server the capability to manage data. Here again we can say the example of those. So server is having an operating system. So that operating system is helping to perform the operations on the server. Okay, so it performs the capability that server operating system is capable of to manage the data, to manage the users, because only one user is not connected. Server will be having many users. Here we can say another example of Gmail. Okay, Gmail can also be another example. Okay, manage data, users, groups, many groups can be connected, and it provides the security. Server requires the security, so it provides the security, applications, and other networking functions. So this server operating system, we can say it as directly a server operating system because it connects all the systems through network. Okay, so this server operating system of network operating system: Microsoft Windows Server 2003, Windows Server 2008, Unix, Linux, macOS, Novel Network, and BSD. These are all the server operating systems. These are helpful. These are provided at networking centers, where are the bigger companies where they will provide. Simply, we can say Gmail also will be having the server operating system. Facebook, okay, our those network centers who connects all the clients. Okay, where we use this network operating system. Advantages of network operating system: centralized servers are highly stable. They are stable. We don't have any problem with the data. Okay. Security is server managed. Server will be managing. It is the work of server. Upgrades to new technologies and hardware can be easily integrated into the system. Any upgradation is easily done in the server operating system. Remote access to servers is possible from different locations and types of systems because it is connected through network. So remote operation is very much easier in server operating system. So there are the differences, disadvantages in network operating system. High cost of buying and running a server because a normal people who wants to connect through network, they cannot afford. Like nowadays we have an online classes to the schools. They cannot afford a server. Okay, so they just work on the internet. They cannot afford a server because buying and running a server is not an easy thing. It involves a high cost. Okay, so dependency on a central location for most operations. It is not decentralized. So everybody and everything has to be dependent on the centralized server. Okay, so dependency on a central location for most operations. Regular maintenance and updates are required because it is connected through networking lines. Okay, as we require the networking lines, so there may be some maintenance is required. So real-time operating system, it's a final one. So a real-time system in which the time interval required to process and respond to inputs is so small that it controls the environment. Real-time systems like our microwave ovens. Okay, so there should not be any delay. Whenever you switch on, it has to start the working. Okay, if I have a washing machine, whenever I switch on, it has to work. It does not take any time for my response. So there should not be any delay. So the time taken by the system to respond to an input and display of required update information is termed as response time. This is what we have discussed previously. The time between request and response is called response time. So in this method, the response time is very less as compared to online processing. Online processing for that means this real-time system has to work faster than online processing. That means the request which we perform on online. Okay, it must be much faster than online processing. So hard real-time system, soft real-time system. These systems guarantee that critical tasks complete on time. In hard real-time system, secondary storage is limited or missing and the data is stored in ROM. In these systems, virtual memory is almost never found. We don't have any virtual memories. Virtual memories means it's an imaginary thing. So these systems guarantee that critical tasks complete on time. Hard real-time systems because they exist. Okay, they exist. ROM is a secondary device. Okay, so in hard real-time system, secondary storage is limited or missing, and the data is stored in ROMs. The data is stored in ROMs here. Soft real-time system are less restrictive. Critical real-time task gets priority over other tasks and retains the priority until it completes. Okay, multimedia, virtual reality, advanced scientific projects like undersea exploration and planetary rovers, etc., comes under soft real-time systems. Okay, so these are that means hard systems, soft systems. The simple difference is hard systems are the mechanical systems, whereas soft real-time systems are the logical systems. Simple example, as I have given you, washing machine or your microwave oven, they are all Hard real-time system. Soft real-time systems are virtual reality, multimedia, scientific projects comes under soft real-time systems. So that was our operating systems, different types of operating system. Next, some of the we'll just have a just here services which is provided by operating system. Program execution. Operating system is responsible for your program execution. System capability to load a program into memory and to run it. Okay. When you start your first year, you start with your C programming. So in your C programming, you will load the program and you will give a command called run. So there are the two commands you are giving to the operating system. Load the program. Where are you loading your program? You are writing your program in the editor, whereas that program is loaded into memory. That program is loaded into memory and the required files like your directories or header files are loaded and linked to your main file .exe file and they are run. You are using a run command to execute your program. So this is the responsibility of your operating system. Your operating system will run your program. So system capability to load a program into memory and to run it. That is the basic duty of operating system. Next, IO operations. Since user programs cannot execute IO operations directly, the operating system must provide some means to perform IO. So here the example I can tell you, the driver management. Drivers like output device is printer. So to manage the output device or to manage the input device, operating system has to provide some means to perform input-output operations. IO means input-output operations. File system manipulation. Program capability to read, write, create and delete. Okay, easily you go to the desktop, you will create, right click, you will have a new folder, you create another file, save it in your file, and you can create, you can delete or you can modify your file. This is all done by making use of operating system. Next is the communications. Exchange of information between processes executing either on the same computer or on different systems tied together by a network implemented by a shared memory or message passing. Communication is also possible by making use of operating system. Next, error detection ensures correct computing by detecting errors in the CPU and memory hardware in IO devices or in user programs. The operating system is responsible whether you have any files are missing or any virus is attacked on your system. So this is all maintained by your operating system. It has to detect. It ensures correct computing. That is whether your system is running slow or running fast or what is the problem. Whether whether your files are attacked or any files are missing. So this is all detecting the errors in the CPU and memory hardware is the duty of operating system. So this is what we have discussed. Two things today. Types of operating system. What are the advantages and disadvantages of different operating systems? And finally, different services provided by operating system. And the final thing what I want to discuss here is operating system with user interface. User interface. What you can show on your screen. Okay? What you want to show on your screen. So what you see on the screen. Suppose so another service provided by operating system is a program that controls the advantage. That means the another service provided by operating system is user interface. User interface. Interface is what you can see onto the screen. That means which is a program, again an operating system is providing a user interface. So user interface is a program that controls a display for the user and that allows the user to interact with the system. Okay, so usually on a computer monitor, that means whatever you see on the screen, simply I will say how you can communicate with your monitor. That is called user interface. If you can't see anything on your screen, that means on your mobile phone also. Well, if you can't see anything on your screen, you cannot do anything onto your device. So you have to control, you have to see what is to be done. That means there should be some pointers, or there should be some icons, or some images, or some information on your screen, so that you can monitor your, you can access your screen. So that screen, whatever you see on the screen, you see is called user interface, and this is also done by your operating system. Okay, the operating system provides user interface. So user interface is again a program that controls a display for the user, and that controls the display and also allows the user to interact with the system. So it controls the display and allows the user to interact. Like an example, you can open your file, you can close your file, you can see your image, you can give an alterations to your image, you can view the video. This is all you can done on your screen by making use of user interface. So the user interface allows the user to communicate with the operating system. That means how you can connect. That means how to give the printer, how to go with the scanner. This is all. The information, that means the mediator between the user and the operating system, is done by making use of user interface. How to open the file, how to give the printer, how to open the scanner. So this is all you can give only if you have a facility on your screen, then only you can access your system. So user interface provides the means of input and output. Input is whatever you give onto the screen. Output is what you see on from the screen, allowing the user to manipulate a system, like open the file, close the file, okay, copy the file, remove the file, select the portion. Okay, when you go to your Word file, you will open, you'll close, you will select the font, and this is all the user interface what you can see. So this is the input. That is how you are using, users are using to manipulate the system. Output is allowing the system to indicate the effects of the user's manipulation. It shows back whatever you do, that will be reflected back to you. That is the output of the user interface. So user interface provides two means, input as output, both input and output. Input is whatever you give to the system to manipulate, and output is the information after manipulation. The information after manipulation, it shows back the output. So user interfaces are two types: command line interface, graphical user interface. Command line interface, in the previous operating systems, we have command line interfaces, whereas now whatever we see are called graphical user interfaces. Two things we have. Okay? There are two types of interfaces. Command line interface, that is called CLI, whereas graphical user interface, we call it as GUI. By this time you have heard, you might be heard, you might heard that word GUI. GUI is graphical user interface. That means a graphical representation of information on your screen. Whereas command line interface is just black screen wherever you type the information. It simply looks like your Oracle screen, where you write on the black screen, you type the information. Only the commands are given to the system, whereas it gives the response. So that is a line, a simple command given in the line. So we call it as command line interface. Whereas the other interface is graphical user interface. In graphical user interface, you can see the icons, the simple desktop, whatever you see daily. Graphical user interface, it provides the colors, it provides the menus, it provides the pointers, images. Okay, simply you can imagine Internet Explorer, you will be having some other icon, whereas Mozilla other icon, Facebook another icon, WhatsApp another icon. So they are all the images, they are using the graphics to show the different types of files on your screen. So types of user interface in that command line interface. A command line interface is a mechanism for interacting with the computer operating system or software by typing commands to perform specific tasks. So here we don't have any presentation. We cannot see any image or we cannot have any idea whether it is a C file, whether it is a Facebook, whether it is a WhatsApp or any HTML file and all. Okay, it is only a black screen where we can type the information and we can give a command to the computer and we can retrieve the information. Okay, so this is called command line interface. It is a mechanism for interacting with a computer operating system or the software by typing a commands to perform specific tasks. This method of instructing a computer to perform a given task is referred to as entering a command. So that means we are giving an input. Accepts an input via keyboard only. It is not suitable for beginners because they are not aware. Suppose I am well aware of this information. That means I know all the commands, how to interact, how to get it. But whereas when it is given to my daughter, she may not be familiar with all these things. So it is not suitable for beginners. So types of command lines, examples of commands. Whereas dir, it is used to display list of files and folders. Like when we click my computer, we see every file and folders. Whereas in command line, we use dir as a command. It displays the list of files and folders. Copy, to copy the file or folder, like copy command. And md to make a directory, that means make a new folder. CLS for clear the screen. Quit for quitting the screen. Okay. These are the simple commands. You can learn the commands from internal and external commands. So command line things. So that can be used to manipulate your software. Okay. These are the some examples I want to tell you. So this is the way how you can see your file. So see, I have typed. So this, you can go to the command prompt by making use of run command at your start button. Go to your Windows. Go to your Windows where you will be having the start button. In start button, if you have in start button, you will be having a run command. In run, you will be having a text box. In that text box, you place CMD. You type CMD enter, you'll be getting a screen like this, black screen. I've shown you guys before. But it shows a complete black screen indicating a white text. Okay? Where you can type like this. Wherever you have your type elements folder, where I have typed dir with this folder, and it shows all the files which are available in my program. Okay, so echo hello world. I have typed here echo to display something. Echo is a command to display something. Echo hello world. It is displaying hello world. Okay, so like this, whatever the work I want to perform, that means the input can be performed. This may be performed only with this black screen. Okay, only with this black screen you have to perform only using commands. So graphical user interface is another user interface. It is a type of user interface which allows people to interact with computer with images rather than text commands. In the previous thing we have seen only the command line commands. That means only the text commands you have given. Echo to display and dir to display the directories and files. So instead of that, here we use images. Okay, so that is why we call it as graphical user interface. Here they have used graphics for display your information. So accept input via keyboard and pointing device. Mouse also can be used here. Pointing device means mouse is also used here. Easy to learn. And elements of graphical user interface: pointers, icons whatever we see on the screen. Pointer is the cursor which we move onto the screen. Desktop, all the elements grouped together and placed on your screen. Windows, different types of windows, like you can open your C, your Zoom application and your YouTube, your WhatsApp. Different windows you can keep on your screen. And menus. Menus are the things which are provided in your Word. You can see in your Word, when you open with file, you will be having a many menus displayed over there. So this is the pointer, a symbol that appears on the display screen and that you move to select objects and commands. Okay, this is similar like this is a cursor which points to the objects to which you want to perform the operation. Usually the pointer appears as a small angled arrow. Okay, this is the simple example. This is the simple thing what we see regularly on our screen. Next are the icons. So different types of icons indicating that the work. What for these? This is an internet, Wi-Fi, and so on. Okay, this you know. So that picture shows what is that application intended for. Okay, that picture indicates that this is meant for some purpose. Okay, so small pictures that represent commands, files, or windows. So this is our desktop. This is an example desktop which shows all the icons grouped together. So see here you have my computer, recycle bin, and some file folder indicating over there. And this is a simple graphical user interface where you can directly point to the location where you want to access. So menus are two types: pull down menus, pop up menus. So pull down means when you go with this. So here you have file. When you click on the file, you will have pull down. It goes down, and you will be having different menus. With this, you can access whatever you want to access into the file. And another thing, when you right click, pop up menu will be coming. The next picture you can see. The first picture we call it as pop-up menu, pull down menu, whereas the second picture it shows pop-up menu. Okay. So finally, examples of operating system. We have different types of operating system: MS-DOS, Windows. MS-DOS is the initial days operating system where it has not implemented GUI. GUI means graphical user interface was not there. Okay, MS-DOS, a Microsoft Disk Operating System. MS-DOS means Microsoft's Disk Operating System, where they don't have provided, they have not provided GUI. Okay, next is the Windows. In Windows also we have started from Windows NT, Windows 97, 98, and so on. Now we are using Windows 10, Windows 13 is also there. So we are getting latest versions. The versions indicates the different services provided to them, and their GUIs are different. Okay? The way they display on the screen will be different. Okay? Mac OS, in Apple they use Mac OS, okay? Macintosh operating system, okay? And Linux is an open source software. Open source. They don't require the license. Okay? Linux, they don't require the software to use license. They don't require the license to use this software. Okay? Linux, Solaris, and Android. Android is the operating system which we use in our mobiles. Okay? Smartphones. Android phones. We call Android phones. That means Android operating system phones. Whereas Apple uses iOS. Right? So with this, we end up this video lesson. This video lesson is meant for types of operating systems, services of operating user interfaces, different types of user interfaces. Thanks for watching.